Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show / podcast recording. We're also doing a Twitter space today. I'm about to hit the button to launch that, so if you're ready for that, we got Andrew Combo Salop in here with us as we always every week. Andrew Combo, what's happening, my man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Coach Nick? What is new?
I'm good. You sound so good and so clean today. I'm really excited about that, and that's half the battle right there.
Most definitely. Let's get it, Coach Nick. Let's get it.
Let's get it. I'm hitting the start now, so I haven't ever started the Twitter space before, so I'm very excited. I'm going to skip inviting people. I've never done this, and so we hit skip, and I'm going to say, okay, here we are. So if you want to join us, I'm going to be able to bring you in, and you can chop it up with us and ask a question or two over on YouTube. On Twitter, and I'll bring it over to YouTube, and we'll all have a terrific time. So. We got people over on Twitter. We got people on YouTube. Don't forget, if you want to ask questions on the YouTube side, the Super Chat's always the best way to catch my attention. But let's talk a little bit about Steph Curry. I figure that's when everyone's mind is on. I just dropped a video earlier today about him breaking the all-time record of 24.79, whatever that number is. Do you think that record will ever be broken?
Yeah, I mean, I think all records get broken eventually, and also how much the game has changed because of Steph Curry. I think we're going to see a lot of threes moving forward. So it's interesting. Like, somebody could say, yeah, it's a different era. That's why Steph Curry broke it, but he's the reason for this era or a big part of it. So, I mean, it's just phenomenal. And you just saw how happy he was when he hit it. Like, it was a little bit of relief. It was a little bit of happiness. It was a great moment. It was
for sure.
A great moment.
Now, here's the interesting thing. I haven't figured this out. If people want to talk, don't you request to come and I bring you in? Is that how that works?
Yes, on the spaces, yes.
Yeah, all right, good. This is live TV here. So I've been in one the other day, and now I'm going to be in one. Invite people. No, let me cross that out. So now, where does it come up when they want? Oh, when they want us to talk. How does that work?
They request usually, and you can bring them up.
Okay, well, so I'm just gonna rely on the fact that somewhere I'm going to see a request. By the way, if anybody who I know, out there, I'm looking at the list right now, wants to come on, just hit that request button so I know that it's working, because I'd like to hear from you guys too. And so, okay, the thing I want to also talk about as far as Steph Curry is, here's the thing, like he's averaging, or he can nail 400 threes in a season, right? That's his new benchmark. He didn't even do that for the first 6-7 years of his career. So if a guy comes in who gets playing time, who can really shoot it, it could get, let's just say, 300 in a season early on. Then all of a sudden getting to 3,000 makes is not so hard. You don't need to play 15 years to get there. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. I mean, how much did teams make before Steph Curry started doing this? Like, what was the record for team three-pointers made in a season?
Oh, the record for team? I don't know, but I certainly know that, he was making more than well, I mean, there's a long time, obviously, in the NBA where people wouldn't even make 300 threes total for a season.
Right. And, especially in the 80s when it first came out, nobody really weaponized the three. I mean, Larry was doing it a little bit, but nothing like it is today.
No. And I mean, and not even like Larry, because I feel like he averaged maybe like 2 a game. And, Steve Kerr, who kind of made his living from that, it never took more than 2.5 a game or something crazy like that. So it really is astounding how long it took coaches to figure this out, and not look viewed as a gimmick, which it could have very well be because the ABA came in and they were a challenge, and then everyone had to be like, well, I don't like the ABA, so we won't do what they're doing. I don't know. But anyhow, it's a lot of threes. But then again, we're going to find guys who were 10 years old when Steph Curry was, in the midst of this, in 2015, let's say. So now let's say that's 6 years from now. So now they're 16, 17. In like 3 or 4 more years, you're going to have these kids that have completely grown up on this. And I feel like, we're going to have guys that are going to end up making, 300, 350 a season. And that's 10 seasons and they break that record again.
Doesn't every trend hit a tipping point, though? Do you ever think it'll go back to more balanced offense?
Oh, I think we're kind of seeing that now. I have to look at the numbers, but I feel like earlier this year, the frequency seemed to be a little bit lower than normal. And I think here's the real key. Is while we were ramping up from 2012 until now, if you took a lot of threes, it gave you a distinct advantage because, most likely, the other team wouldn't be taking as many. But guess what? everybody's kind of caught up now in the frequency aspect of it. And so now, unless you have an ungodly high efficiency on those threes, it's not as big of an advantage. And so I think we are going to start to see a little bit of a leveling out here now that everybody is on board. It made sense for about the 10 years that it didn't do that, but now that we're all here, that's going to be the issue. So I would probably hope it goes down a little bit. Oh, I'm on mute.
Yeah.
Okay, damn. Sorry. Thank you, D-Rock. I was on mute for Twitter Spaces. Forgive me. Now everybody's there. Oh, my goodness gracious. I am completely new to Twitter. Forgive me. If you guys want to come on, I see somebody requested. Let's bring you in because I feel terrible. You guys hadn't been able to hear me this whole time. But D-Rock, you are the man. I'm going to give you the biggest shout out I can for giving me the all caps warning. Sorry, I didn't see that. And we got Guidi who wants to come on. So how do I do this? I press requests. And then I say check, and hopefully Guidi's there. Can you hear us, Guidi? Hello? Uh-oh. Oh, please tell me this is going to work. This is the next part of this puzzle is getting this to work with my mic and my phone. Man, is this not going to work? Let me, son of a gun. It was working before. Let me try D-Rock. Let's bring... D-Rock, can you hear us? Hello.
They could hear you because I just tuned in real quick.
Okay. Yes. Say that again.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Okay. Well, here's my problem. It's not going to go through my speaker. Gosh darn it. Well, I'll hold it up to the thing so everyone can hear you. Hey, listen, the show must go on, right? So talk to us. What's happening? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I live here in Brooklyn, New York, so, the big story is Steph Curry dancing all over the Knicks in Madison Square Garden. But I'm not a Knicks fan, so I laugh at the Knicks. I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan. So I'm actually celebrating what Kevin Durant was able to do with 4 rookies, a skinny center coming off mono, a, let's say, very seasoned vet in Blake Griffin, and a nice younger vet in Patty Mills. We had 8 players play, and Kevin Durant was nursing a bum ankle. He was supposed to take the day off, but he said, yo, man, I got these young bucks. I'm ready to roll. Let's take down the Toronto Raptors, and they put on the show. I was so excited to see what Kevin Durant and these boys were able to do. It was amazing. The ball moved very well. And, hopefully James Harden gets some rest and he's able to do a little bit of strength training and some conditioning now that he's out with COVID. Hopefully he gets about 2 to 3 weeks off, if not more. But I think we can hold down the fort. And with Kyrie looming on the horizon, I think things are looking very good here in Brooklyn. So, bong bong for those Knicks fans, and let's go Nets for Brooklyn.
Oh, wow. So I guess it has to be bong bong and not bing bong for them. I love it. Love the feeling in Brooklyn out there. And by the way, Kevin Durant, I owe him a video. I kind of started to do it and I want to get to it because this guy is shooting lights out like we haven't seen before. And I know we're going to all, be loving Steph Curry right now because of the record. But yes, attention needs to be paid to what Kevin Durant is doing. Combo, have you been watching him play a little bit?
Yes, I have. I watched him play. Shouts to David Duke. He had like 13 rebounds, I think. I mean, all their young players are playing really well. That was a close game. And obviously, I love the way Scotty Barnes plays, so it was great watching him play that night. That game was a phenomenal game, and it was a team effort, and their young players definitely stepped up. And Blake Griffin was diving all over the floor, man. He's a competitor. And he fouled out. Yeah, it was a great game.
And now I'm realizing that because this thing isn't working right, people over on the Spaces might not be able to hear you, which is another problem, right? Is that right, T-Rock?
I wasn't able to hear that.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything he said.
All right. Well, I could try and blast him out of my speakers back into my phone. This is, it's kind of crazy that YouTube hasn't developed some way of having people call in on shows live. It's right. And Twitter, all these things. And then this mic that never almost always, it usually works to some degree. I was doing it on Green Room and now it's not here. But anyway, I realized that was the one missing piece was that Combo, you're the guy who I can't get you back into my phone.
You want me to join the Twitter Spaces?
Well, you know what? If you do that might work, but it might be completely unsynced. But maybe it will work. Who knows? Well, let's find out. All right. Well, listen, T-Rock, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. That was great stuff. But I owe you a KD video. Okay.
Oh, you're the man. Thanks, Coach.
You got it. All right. Well, we could make that work, and I'll see how this sounds.
You're talking from it's going to be on sync.
It will be?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? We'll take some calls.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen. We'll figure it out, and then we'll see what happens. Let's see here. Let's go do that. And we have some more. Okay, I see you in there. We'll figure this out the next time. So I hear. But we have Shanku Nair wants to come on the show, so let's bring him in, and then at the very least, maybe he'll be able to. Every people will be able to hear you over on through my speakers. But are you there? Did we make him wait too long? See, now where do I see who's live and who's speaking? Oh, here it is. Shanku, are you there, my man?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
Hey, what's going on? What are you thinking about tonight?
Wait. I just tuned in, so I wasn't sure what you guys are talking about.
Oh, well, we talked a little about Steph. We talked a little about KD and his shooting, but we're open to whatever you want to talk about. So hit it.
Yeah. I guess one storyline I feel like that isn't being talked about is Jokic and Giannis this year. I think they, at least in my opinion, are the top two players in the world. More efficient than KD and Curry, and also just way better on the defensive end.
Ooh, okay. So you want to throw some shade on well, you can't say that they're better than KD on the defensive end, can you?
I mean, Giannis, I think, is just so impactful.
Yeah, I'm worried about Giannis. I'm watching. I haven't gotten to sit down and watch entire games yet for the Bucks, but I'm worried that they're struggling a bit, and he's not putting them on their back and having these massive games that would lead them to a victory. And even when he's done nicely, they've lost some of those games. So I'm curious. I know that now that they've lost. What's the injury prognosis for Middleton and his knee? Anyone hear in the most recent stuff?
I'm not sure. I know it said 1 to 2 weeks. I believe when he first got hurt.
Combo, do you know anything more?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. So that's going to really hurt them. Lopez is going to be out indefinitely too. So I get it. And then as soon as they get DiVincenzo back, he gets the COVID. So that's a problem too. But I hear you. I just feel like for right now, Giannis isn't as impactful enough for me. And then again, if anybody deserves a video, it's Jokic right now because he is doing some serious work amidst the entire team is decimated. This is the way it seems. So you're right. But it's an interesting question. I think the more important question isn't how we feel about those guys. It is why isn't Jokic getting any love at all in the media? Doesn't it seem like they're completely ignoring him?
Yeah. I don't know if you saw the poll of the 118 past NBA players of the rankings. Jokic was 6th. I was like, that is blasphemy.
Yeah, that is blasphemy. Wait, do you remember who was in front of him?
It was KD, LeBron, Steph, Giannis, and Embiid.
I mean, there's no shame, I suppose, in being behind those guys because they're so good too. But yeah, it's got to be related to the record as well. I think they're 500 right now, and that's tough too. So yeah, it's an interesting question. But I'm going to make sure to get them back on the stage. I'm going to have a really good juicy title and a good thumbnail to get everybody talking about it. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to do my best to shift that whole narrative, and I think you'll see I'll be able to do something for it.
Perfect.
All right, you got it, man. Thank you.
All right, yeah, have a good one.
You too. Okay, so now we have Combo froze. Of course he froze. Let's do this, and let's do. Okay, live. It's live. We're having a great time. Let me figure this out. I don't know how to get Combo back unless I completely kick him out and start over, which is always going to be interesting. Let's see here. Combo, I know if you can hear me, why don't you try and hit that link again? But anyway, because I'm afraid I'm going to screw this whole thing up if I do anything wrong. Anyway, well, I guess I'll keep talking, and we can go through and see if anybody over on the YouTube side. Don't forget, Super Chats are the way to get my attention there for chats. And we do have some more people who want to talk on the Twitter side, so I guess I can bring them in for now. And we'll go from there. So let's bring in Zavon. Oh, wait, where did he go? There he goes. All right. And add as speaker. All right, Zavon, how you doing, my man? Oh, we got where he's connecting, and he's muted, but maybe he'll turn it.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yes, what's happening?
I just wanted to call in and ask, what do you think the Dallas Mavericks have to do to win a championship?
Wow, that's a really great question. I'm not sure if you guys saw, but there was an interesting article today that came out by Tim McMahon, who
I've been saying they need a new player that knows how to play off ball and can play off ball and on ball, because most of their players, they just sit around at the 3-point line and they don't create no offense.
Right. Now, Brunson can do that, and I like that, but they probably still haven't quite figured out how to make those lineups work either. And Jason Kidd has never been the guy who I've been convinced really knows how to work lineups that well. So that's another issue. Combo, what's your thoughts?
The Dallas Mavericks, yeah, I mean, there's been a couple top NBA guys that haven't got into shape this season, and I can name them. I mean, Harden, AD, Luka's one of them. So Luka definitely has to come in shape. But I like your point about Porzingis getting more post-ups, because I think he's getting more comfortable now and he's playing better than he's played in years. So I think that's been a big help. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on the value of the post-up in the modern NBA.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry, I'm getting my speaker closer to my phone so that you get the people over on Twitter Spaces can hear me better. Forgive, but one day we'll get this right. But my thoughts on the modern post-up is, I think I've gone back and forth on this, and I think that the whole issue to begin with is when we stopped going away, or we started going away from the post-up, was because they were measuring it wrong. If I do a really good post move and get really low post position or really close to the basket and miss, but then get the rebound and put it back in, Synergy wasn't counting that as one play. So it made it look like the post-up was not as effective as it was. And when you included putbacks, because, you've seen it before, a guy drives, gets all the way to the rim, misses, but then they get a dunk because they had to rotate over. Same thing happens with the post-up. And so once you added in putbacks, it became like 1.1, 1.2 points per possession, it's awesome. And they never should have gone away from the post-up. I think that's the point. My other point I've been making for a while now in the modern NBA is get guards to post up. If you let Steph Curry get the ball, 13 feet from the basket and he faces up, it's over. James Harden, it's over. He'll never stop those guys. Kyrie, they're too good. They're too skilled at that close to the basket with half a dribble away. That's what I want to see more of. Hey, get these stretch bigs to get out on the 3-point line. That's fine. And let the guards get down there. And then, by the way, those bigs can then kind of get a running start into the lane for an offensive rebound or two. That's a really big one I like to see change. And also I like to see, teams go more for offensive rebounds overall, because obviously get the second chance points are huge. Milwaukee won a title doing that, basically. And the best threes you can get are off of offensive rebounds. So why not get more of those?
Yeah, I like the idea of posting up your guards, especially because a lot of those guys are great passers and they can just pick you apart from the post.
Yeah.
So I really love that idea. Like, that's why it's so great when Luka posts.
Yeah, and absolutely, because he's such a good passer too, and you can try and double team him. He's going to find the shooter every single time. Hopefully, over there on Twitter, you can hear me okay, and you can hear Combo a little bit here. We've got another request here, and my arm's going to fall off if I keep having to hold this up. But let me see here. Requested. Where do I do this? Requests. Well, let's do that one, and then let's do James Lopez. James, what's happening? Can you? Did we lose you? Oh, there you are.
Can you hear? Awesome. Yeah, Coach, I had a question. So I watch a lot of Warriors games, and Steph Curry, maybe 1 out of every 3 games, he'll have like a really poor shooting night. Probably a little less. But when they count your 3-point percentage for the season, do they go by total 3-pointers or 3-pointers per game?
Oh, well, if we're talking about like what the record he broke last night, it's total, right?
So I kind of mean like, let's say he finishes the season at 45% shooting from 3.
Yeah.
Are they counting every 3-pointer or are they counting the percentage per game?
Oh, they're counting everyone. Yeah, that's how they'll do it. They'll add all the makes and then divide that into all the misses, no matter when they happen.
Okay, yeah, because I feel like sometimes if you were to go if you were to combine the percentage per game, so if he makes one and only attempts one, that's 100%, and then he goes 0 for 20 the next game, he'll have a 50% 3-point percentage,
Oh.
And I wasn't sure because I see Steph Curry have a lot of poor 3-point shooting games, so I wasn't sure how they were counting it.
Yeah, no, they just do it. They add them all up just straight across the board. So yeah, and but you make a good point that he has been up and down, and obviously the weight of breaking the record, I think, clearly was weighing on everybody. They were trying to get it to him. He was trying to force it, and I think now that they've gotten that out of the way, he'll go back to being a much more of a stable 3-point shooter. I would be surprised if he doesn't, but that seems to be what was getting in the way the last like 4 or 5 games at least, and so we'll see. But by the way, the dirty little secret no one's talking about is that their offense has been pretty bad over the last 10 games, even longer than trying to get the record. Their offensive rating has plummeted after being number 1 or number 2 for a little while there. So that's a bigger issue that the Warriors need to get straightened out as Klay starts to come back. They got to figure that out without question.
Yeah, no doubt. Coach, and just one more question.
Okay.
What do you think of Anthony Davis? I feel like ever since he's been on the Lakers, he's been kind of disappointing. I know he had a really good bubble.
Yeah.
But like besides that, I don't remember like any 50-point game or 8-block game or like 20-20 game. Like there's no memorable moment besides him in the bubble.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen flashes across the board every year, but I'm empty. I have a feeling of emptiness when I watch AD play. He'll get a lot of, he can rack up a lot of points and a lot of rebounds, but sometimes it doesn't really have an effect on the game. So he's always been a guy that's kind of rubbed me, or my antennas kind of always, shake a little bit when I think about his game because, there's something about it that's not as, everyone wants to put him in the top 5 in the league or whatever. I just never have been able to get there with him. He's very good, but I think the impact of the game and the bottom line winning stuff, I don't think he impacts it nearly as much as other people think. And as a result, if LeBron is out and he's playing, sometimes he doesn't, they're not nearly as good. They can't make up for that, like in comparison to like LeBron, his impact in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, should Dwight Howard have taken his spot for the 75th best player?
Ooh, wow. I mean, it would seem to me that Dwight at his peak probably should have been able to get in at the top 75. But what do you think, Combo?
Yeah, because I think he had just so many great years. I think it was like 8 really good years, all defensive team, defensive player of the year awards. Actually getting his team really deep in the playoffs, I think he deserved to be in there. But there's a lot of guys that could have been in there and weren't. So there's always going to be snubs, And then he had like this weird like odyssey part of his career where he was just bouncing around to different teams, not really playing that well. And I think that's what hurt him, right? That second part of his career. But then he came back and, won a championship with the Lakers, kind of reinvented himself. So,
I guess.
Career.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, interesting what he's going to end up. But yeah, Dwight Howard's gotten definitely, with his career ending as it's ending now, people are going to forget how dominant he was in a different era. And that is too bad because he deserves recognition for how great he was. But, I think maybe his experience with the Lakers the first time around might have been hurt him. And he's still sort of now, the role player that he is and, doing nicely again. So, yeah, I'm actually editing a video right now on LeBron LeBron, and there's a new lineup they've been using. I got to check tonight if they're going to do it, where LeBron plays center, and that seems to unlock a lot of things for everybody. And I don't know why they haven't done that before. They seem willing to play AD and DeAndre Jordan and Dwight together with LeBron all the time. But when those guys got hurt, they kind of almost had to do it, and I think there's something there. So hopefully they'll keep running that more, and then that makes AD a little less impactful again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I love LeBron at center. I always said that Russell Westbrook should be playing some center. Like, I love those type lineups, and it just, you're kind of, it fits what's going on in the modern NBA right now, right?
Right.
Like just playing that small ball 4 or 5 and having guard skills at that position. So I love it. I love it.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's take one more from the Twitter space, because it's suboptimal, unfortunately. But we got Kira wants to join. Let's bring them in and get their question, and then we'll go from there. And then we'll just sit back and you and me talk and let the YouTube guys enjoy the perfect sound. But Kira, are you there?
Hey, Coach.
Hey.
Do you hear my phone?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Sorry about my language because English is not my first language.
No problem.
Okay, Coach. I have a question for you. What do you think about the Chicago Bulls, Coach?
Okay. The Chicago Bulls. I want to give them even more props than most people are going to give them. I think they're going to be a very, very tough playoff team. I know that like DeMar DeRozan doesn't always do well in the playoffs or ever do well in the playoffs, but I think that they have a really good team. Billy Donovan's a good coach. They're playing good defense. When that ball is moving, they really cause a lot of problems for other teams that they're playing. So, right now they're up in the top, near the top of the Eastern Conference. I'm going to just one-handed see if I can do this to tell you where they are. I think they're second or third, right? Let's see here, standings real quick. The Bulls are the second right now, tied with the Bucks for 2.5 games back behind the Nets. So, I mean, they're going to finish in the top, 2 or 3. They'll have home court advantage, so they're winning the first round series, I feel. And then I think they're going to they could get to the conference finals. I really do. They could beat one of those other teams in the East and be a really tough out. So I like them. I really am high on them, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. That's going to be a great, playoff series between, if it's the Nets or it's the Bucks. We're going to get some really good basketball.
Yeah, unfortunately, they've been having some games postponed recently because of COVID protocols. But obviously, I mean, DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine have been playing at all NBA level, both of them. I think Lonzo is super underrated still to this day. What he does on both sides of the floor, he disrupts on defense, and he's a connective piece on offense. And Caruso is obviously a great addition. Too bad the Lakers lost his services because they could have really used him this season, especially on the defensive side. But I really like their team. Their one issue is probably their depth. I don't think they have a lot of depth. But besides that, they're just a phenomenal team to watch, and they're really versatile on both sides of the floor.
Yeah, but they're going to get Pat Williams back, and somebody else is also coming back. I feel like I'm blanking right now, but so they'll be better on that end as long as he gets enough games to get back into shape. So all great points, but again, everything for me points to being very positive for this Bulls team, and anxious to see how well they do. But I can't imagine they do anything worse than conference semifinals, and then conference finals could very well be, depending on the matchup, in their future.
Nobody wants to play them in the playoffs, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. That no one's going to want to play him because Zach LaVine could go for 50, and that would mitigate anything that Vucevic is going to give up on the defensive end. And by the way, he gets maligned, and I heard recently someone talking about how bad he is. But I tell you, he's got decent hands. He knocks away a lot of those pocket passes to his man as he's trying to contain the pick and roll. So he does have an impact. Vucevic.
Who's this coach, Nick? Oh, yeah. No, he's not bad on me. He's so smart on both sides of the floor, to be honest.
Yeah, totally.
Smart player.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you for Kira for that one. I think what we're going to end up doing with this, though, is we're gonna finish the Twitter space because I can't get the audio to get into my computer so everyone on YouTube can hear it. But if you're over on the Twitter space, come on over to YouTube, watch the live show there. We'll go another 15, 20 minutes, and we'll be able to get some questions, I guess, in the comments or whatever. But don't worry, we will get this straightened out one of these days. And if not, I'll just do plain straight spaces without any of the integration stuff. But we'll make it happen. But thank you guys for being out there, and we'll see you next time on the next space. But this is a fun first space, and we'll see you next time. Yes. Now, okay. So now my hand's tired, man. I had to hold the damn phone up there. to the mic and then hold you to the mic. Anyway, so if you're out there and you're on YouTube and you have any kind of sense of tech, talk to me. Email me, coachnick@bballbreakdown.com. Tell me if there's a better way to do this integrated space. By the way, what I did before is I used to do Green Room, but then I didn't have you. I didn't have a guest with me or a co-host. So that's always the challenge now because you need to be able to hear it. But we'll figure it out.
I'm assuming there's a better way than you holding up phones and microphones.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think it would have to be that you'd be in the space, and I'd be in the space, and that's what gets broadcast out to YouTube.
Yeah. I think we just need to have a space day and a YouTube day, baby.
Yeah, that's probably the right way to do it. Anyhow, but here we are. We're back. I feel much more comfortable now. My hands are free, and we can get back to the task at hand, which is let's see here. We didn't talk about trades yet, so let's talk about some trades. What do you think? And Adam, we didn't do a Green Room because again, the same problem I'd have would be having a co-host. So we'll figure it out. But either way. Let's see here. And then Mez NBA is talking some crap. You know what? Let's show this because you know what? Why not? They wanted me to hide this comment. Ben Taylor would never do a video with this chump. Is that so? You really think so? Do you know who Ben Taylor is, Combo?
Of course. He's been on my podcast.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure he would do a video with me if I asked him.
Of course he would.
Should we call him?
Nice guy.
Should I call Ben right now and ask him if he wants to come on the show? We should. Well, you know, you ever see that funny thing they did on ESPN where they had a Zoom chat with a couple people, and then they challenged each other to what famous person can you get to join the Zoom? Did you ever see that one?
No.
It was pretty funny, and so they're getting some of the most random people in the NFL and actors. Anyway, well, Ben Taylor would come on the show. I'll say that to you. But I appreciate you talking trash to me on my own channel. Like that's pretty ballsy, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of crazy. I looked at the comments. They were going at me one time because I said Steph wasn't top 10. They were a couple guys were going at me pretty hard. But I enjoy that. If I was a wrestler, I'd be a heel, Coach Nick. I'd be a heel. I would enjoy that. That'd be
nice.
Cool.
All right. Yeah, heels are needed. But let's talk about some trades. I've been kind of keeping my eye on it because today is the day where you can start to trade players. And I noticed something about the Lakers trying to trade for Jeremy Grant. And I have no idea if that was anything. It just popped into my timeline, and I was like, that's interesting. But obviously, who the Lakers would give back would be, I mean, the league would almost have to cancel that trade. Well, I think it was THT and Nunn and Monk. And, I mean, I get it. If Detroit wants to go south and really not win any games, they would just, want to get rid of a guy like Jeremy Grant for pennies on the dollar. But that to me, what do you think? Would Jeremy Grant help the Lakers?
Yes.
Okay.
He would help the Lakers like he helped Denver, but now he's better than that because he could get his own more in this point in time. So yeah, I do think he would help them. He could play the 4. He's really good on defense. One thing about Jeremy Grant, man, if you ever watch him in person, he is a crazy athlete.
Yeah.
And he bet on himself going to the Pistons, and he played really well, and he proved that he could be an all-star level player pretty much. I mean, I like Jeremy Grant.
I agree totally. I thought that, Jeremy Grant was a delightful surprise to me in the bubble that year for Denver. And certainly, he's a guy who can get you 20 if you need it, but he's not the number 1 guy. And if he's number 3, then fabulous. And then the way he played defense during that run was also revelatory for me. So I've always liked this game, even at OKC. And he's the perfect kind of guy you'd want to bring in and shore up a championship team. It definitely moves the Lakers more into that mode because Trevor Ariza is just not going to get healthy. It doesn't sound like this year, and they really need some more defense out there. And then, by the way, they could then do Grant and LeBron like at 5 and Grant at 4, let AD sit, and then like go really small. There's some interesting things there.
Yeah, I think it's so weird of a fit, though, if it's Russ, AD, Jeremy Grant, and LeBron, right? That would be interesting to see how it would work.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because even with Russ and LeBron at the center position, as I'm doing this video, Russ is not bad. He's actually a lot better there. But when you take Russ out and you play some of the other guys, then that lineup is even better. Russ is just not really fitting in. I hate to say it. And so, if he's going to play 30 minutes a game in a playoff series, that's going to hold them back. I hate to tell you.
Well, there has been reports that there's internal discussions that he's on the not the trading block, but they're discussing trading him.
Russ?
Yeah.
Wow, that's hilarious.
There was a report. Yeah.
That's hilarious. All right, I didn't see that report, but okay. I mean, I certainly am not surprised. If you're looking at what you want to do to make the Lakers better, and you're the GM, well, what do we need to shore up? That would be one of the positions without question. And they screwed up. They should have just gotten Buddy Hield. That was the trade. And again, I'm sure he's in the block again, like Keyshawn is saying in the comments. Buddy, that deal to the Lakers was the deal that would have gotten them a lot better. I'm picturing him spotting up and spreading the floor for them. He could put the ball on the ground a little bit. He's not like a bad defender. And so that would have helped them a lot more than what Russ is giving them, for sure.
Yeah, Buddy's definitely one of those players that you'd want to see play on a good team and see what he could do, right? But this is not really experimenting time for the Lakers, but I would like to see Buddy on a great team. What do you think about, I do think Ben's going to end up in Portland, but you know who I'd really like to see in Philly, who I think would be a lot better? Tyrese Halliburton. I think he would fit on that team really nicely.
In Portland?
No, with the Sixers.
Oh, with the Sixers.
If they traded for Ben, because I think he does bring some of the stuff, and obviously Ben is a better player than Tyrese, but Tyrese is younger, and he does bring some of that stuff where he could connect the team, like he's like a connective piece, and I really think he would help that team because they don't have a lot of connective pieces on offense, especially with Ben not there.
Right. Well, I mean, okay, is Halliburton much better than Maxey?
No, I mean, not the way Maxey's playing now. I mean, Maxey's better than a lot of guys from what we're seeing this season.
Yeah. So it's an interesting conundrum because they weren't probably prepared for him to take a jump like he has. It might not be enough in the playoffs, which is another thing that Philly might be looking at too. But yeah, it's Halliburton. I mean, listen, I guess what you might say is anybody in Sacramento should just get out and get anywhere else for them there because
such a bad situation there.
Yeah,
such a bad situation.
It really is. And now Gentry just gets COVID, and I hope he's okay. He's a little bit older, and that's a little concerning. But yeah, it's whatever's going on there. It seems to be just a problem. De'Aaron Fox does not look good at all to me anymore. I don't know why. I don't know what happened to him, but he's not doing well, and he should be better.
Do you think it's just the basketball culture there that just guys are like Tyrese is not playing as well this season? Really like Tyrese's game. When
you change a coach, this and that, whatever, then that has an effect. I mean, actually, I'm looking at the numbers right now I did a deep dive on De'Aaron Fox early in the season. And was like, what is going on? And he was making some terrible plays. Overall, he's shooting 20. He's getting 21 points a game, which is a drop from the year before. But everything his shooting is just way down, and so
yeah, he doesn't look as bursty either. He's not moving as quickly as he used to. Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, everything is off, and this decision making. So I who knows? But without question, when you start messing around with the coaching and the whole thing, it doesn't help. Now he's old enough in the De'Aaron Fox should be that he can handle the tumultuousness versus like Halliburton, who's only a second-year player and still is getting his feet wet, but. Yeah, it's I would if I were a good team in the middle of the pack, in either of these conferences, I'd be looking at the Kings roster and seeing who I could pick off right now.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I do think Ben's going to end up in Portland, but maybe the Kings should just find a way to get Ben and build around Ben and just shake everything up. It's time to shake everything up. You have to there. Like, you just got to do something. You got to get the top 20 guy in there. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a good lesson to be learned, and who knows if they could have predicted that was going to happen with Ben based on the the comments after the game in Game 7 of last year. Who knows what Doc said? Did that really just completely destroy everything in 1 second? But it certainly is a good lesson to be learned about like how to manage players, how to treat them, how to communicate with them, so you can avoid this kind of situation that you're not in right now. Because yes, here's the worst part about it is. We're just being deprived of really good basketball, and that's really frustrating because Ben can give us that every night, and I hope they can just get him out of there. Yeah, finally, just pull a trigger, get what you can get back for him. I mean, they're not going to sit on him for 4 years, right? That's not going to happen.
Well, that's what Daryl Morey said he would.
Yeah, they can't. I think he's just saying that, but still.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the right thing to say, I guess.
Yeah.
Try and get leverage. Right.
Yeah. What about the Bulls? So you mentioned that you think they're a little too thin. Do you think they're going to need to make a trade?
I wouldn't shake things up. I would just go with the flow. I wouldn't make a trade there, to be honest. But great teams, good teams should try and find ways to get better. So, how would you get depth though in a trade? Like that would be an interesting trade. I'm just trying to think how that would happen.
Right. Well, yeah, because if you want to improve, then you're going to give somebody who's coming off your own bench, and that doesn't always get you back, great stuff unless you want to give them a pick.
I don't know what assets they have. I mean, they just have great players as their starters who are playing really well together, and you definitely don't want to give up any of those guys.
Oh yeah, that's not happening. So exactly. So they're in a strange situation. But you're right, and I like what they have. They don't need to do too much. I don't think.
Maybe Pat Williams upside. They could try and that's an asset, but I would think they want to keep him. I think he has a lot of potential. So
yeah, no, I think it would probably be worth. Let's find out this year what's going to happen with him, and then from there you can decide. After this year if he's worth. By the way, I'm not sold on him really, but. There was indications even in the beginning of this year that he'd been playing better and he could be a guy they could rely on, certainly defensively and then even on the offensive end. Javonte Green, I believe, has been injured, if I'm not mistaken. Another guy I really like who I think can help them. Let me just check. I haven't watched the Bulls game in a couple games now, but let's look at here. He's been out for the last 4 games. So, once they get him back, and I think that's COVID as well, and they get all this settled, do you think there's going to be a shutdown or even a bubble this year?
There's a chance of it, man. The way it's going, I mean, they can't keep postponing games, and there's discussions on how they're going to handle this. I think there's going to be some more testing, so we'll see how that develops, man. It's a day-by-day thing, and the league has done a pretty good job of handling the situation, so I'm sure there's going to be some big changes coming soon. Yeah, well, I mean, thankfully everyone's been vaccinated who's playing, so if they're going to get it, they're not going to get horribly sick, which is really important. But everyone's thinking that this new wave is going to be a problem, and obviously, if you test positive and you can't play even if you don't have symptoms, that's just you cannot do that. So we have a super chat, BB Coach JW33, friend of the breakdown. Thanks so much. Who should the Lakers have traded for instead of Westbrook? Who should they have kept out of? Who they should have left? Well, I mentioned it just a minute ago. It should have been Hield. They announced the Hield trade. It was all going to go through, and then 2 days later, it had to be LeBron freaked out, or no, he freaked out on that day, and then 2 days later, they made a trade to get Russ. And as a result, the Wizards got much better. Now, interestingly enough, there's another question in the chat about the Wizards. And, it's without question, if Beal could get straightened out, I don't know why he's been shooting so poorly. It might be worth a deep dive. And then, Spencer Dinwiddie, we know what he can do, and he's terrific. Yeah. If they get that straightened out a little bit, they have a lot of good pieces. They could be a surprise in that East. They could, they get to the playoffs, and then they could surprise somebody in the first round. Yeah, I mean, I think they're just regressing to the mean. They started out really strong, and now they've been not playing as well lately. Bradley Beal, as you said, back to it, they could really shake things up in the East. Back to the Lakers' point, who they should have acquired, what they really should have done is made sure they kept KCP and Caruso over the years. That was a big mistake because that's what they're missing right now. Yeah, what a great point. Because KCP did not, I think I even in a video or two during that run when they won the title, I think I gave him props, but he really did. I'm not going to say he won playoff games for them, but he pretty close to won by himself. The contributions he was making on both sides of the ball were so unheralded, and it's unfortunate it's that kind of guy who, people are like, oh, we can replace that. That's not a problem. And you know what? You realize that you probably can't. And the KCP thing's interesting. He should write a book because remember there were moments with Luke Walton there where he was about to fight Luke or whatever. There was some real tension. They were going to trade him any day. Then he somehow stuck that out and then made it through and then got a ring and was an integral part. So you're right. Yeah. And then Caruso, another guy that I'm sure they look at him. Tough on KCP, Coach Nick. Who was for some reason.
Yeah, who knows how that happens, right? You might say something, it gets misunderstood, and the next thing you know, you're in a doghouse and you never can't get out.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, the Carlisle thing. Did you read the article? I'm sorry, did I ask you if you read the article about the Carlisle
On the
today?
Pacers?
No, about him in Dallas. Tim McMahon just dropped an article today about Carlisle's clashing with Luka and how he's kind
Oh
of like
yeah,
a
I mean,
difficult person.
I've heard things like that. I mean, a lot. So that doesn't surprise me. I mean, I heard they were getting into it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I had first hand experience with Carlisle being that way. And so if you were going to tell me that, you know what, people didn't get along with him so well, I would not be surprised if that was that happened. And by the way, same with Haralabob, who I'm friendly with, and if he rubbed people the wrong way, like that would not be surprising either to me in that context. And I have to imagine, working for an NBA team is like Succession. Everybody is trying to stab you in the back and get you out of there as quickly as they can. You have to be very careful. But it was troubling to hear how Carlisle dealt with certain players. That just doesn't seem to be productive at all. But I don't know if Carlisle can help himself. And so we'll find out how this thing works in Indiana, because remember last year they had a mutiny on their hands with Nate Bjorkgren. And I wonder really if Nate really did end up pushing it that far, or was it some sort of a thing that maybe even Nate McMillan had realized and got the heck out of there before it blew up on him. So interesting. I'm waiting for the tell-all book from a couple of these players.
Yeah, I think the Pacers said they're going to go through a medium rebuild, so they're looking to trade either Miles Turner or Sabonis. I think there are a lot of teams that are going to want Sabonis, and Miles Turner would be a great fit for the Warriors, but it just depends on how much they really want him, and if they'll trade some of their younger assets, because they got some really good young players that can be really good. I mean, Kuminga's getting minutes, and
Wiseman's going to be on board soon. Yeah, I mean, if I were the Pacers and they offered me like Kuminga, Wiseman, and a pick, I'd take that in a second for either of those guys, but for Turner for sure. And by the way, Sabonis could be interesting too, but it seems a bit redundant with like him and Draymond. Turner gives him another level.
No, Turner would be better for the Warriors, but there's a lot of teams that would take Sabonis outside of the Warriors.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard Sabonis to the Warriors too, but either way.
I think Sabonis is the better player, but just Miles Turner is just a great fit for the Warriors.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, at least on paper, with the skill set he brings. But, that chemistry in the Warriors is delicate, and you don't want to disrupt that. I just don't know about Miles Turner as a chemistry thing, how that fits. And I'm sure they'd be concerned about that too. So without knowing anything really, I'm just wondering if that's going to be a thing that they might just say, you know what, it's not worth it. We'll get Wiseman in here. We'll let him develop, and he'll give us what he gives us. In his 15 minutes a game, and then we'll be so much better off 3 years from now because of that. It might be worth it, and knowing that Steph will have another couple of years anyway before the window closes. But that's my 2 cents. I hope they don't trade Wiseman. I think he's going to be an all-star. And Kuminga, again, the way he moves is really, really impressive. If he can develop more offensive skills, then it's an embarrassment of riches. They'll just keep getting better.
Yeah, I do think that it depends on how much they believe they could win a championship with this team, because I do think Miles Turner does maximize their chances for this season, and they're trying to maximize that Klay Thompson, Splash Brother, Steph Curry timeline. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It's an interesting decision. So they're not playing as well recently, right?
No, I mean, they've been struggling, but again, is it the weight of like breaking the record? Now that that's done, they're going to just get back to moving the ball again, because the ball wasn't moving like it was earlier in the year, where you'd have like I want to actually, if we check it, I'm sure we can see the numbers. I would sense that the passing numbers themselves have gone down 10%, 15% in that stretch versus the rest of the season. So if they get back to that, when that ball is moving like they were doing, you can't stop it, right? The only hope you can have is to like get a hand in there and deflect the pass or something and disrupt it that way, because otherwise the ball is flying. They're going to get a penetration and a good shot either at the rim or a kick out. And now the interesting thing is maybe what they do is Klay gets on the court sooner than later, and they see how he's doing. And if he's doing poorly or whatever, then they make a trade. And if he's doing well, then they don't make a trade.
Yeah, that makes sense. It has to be said how well these guys are playing, like Wiggins and Poole and even GP too. Man, they're playing really great basketball, and that's what's really been gave the Warriors the ability to play so well this season. They're role players, man. They're really stepping up. Jordan Poole might not even be a role player soon. Like, he is he could be really good.
It's just tough because he's going to have to go to the bench when Clay comes back, and you know, I'm sure he'll handle it okay. But man, that's going to be frustrating. And I'm sure he'll get the same minutes, but it's like, you know, everybody wants to be a starter.
If he embraces that role, it just adds to their depth, right?
Say it again.
If he embraces that role, it just adds to their depth. It's
Absolutely.
To have a guy like that off the bench.
Yeah, for sure. Any other things as we start to wrap up? Any other trade stuff that we're hearing? Kemba, you know, I think Kemba's got something he can offer to a good team as a final little piece. But I wonder if he's, you know,
There's no flexibility with him out the rotation. Like, why didn't he play yesterday? It's so weird. There's something we don't know, I think.
Yeah.
It's just
you know,
weird.
I did the video, and you know, the numbers since he sat are so bad for them that it makes you realize that it wasn't him, you know, or you're not going to heap all the blame on him. So somebody told me in somewhere, if it was a comment or on Twitter, that it was like maybe a back-to-back. They were shorthanded, and Kemba refused to play because it was for him a back-to-back too. And Tibbs, like, that might have been like a complete, you know, knowing him, that might have been some sort of violation of his code. That might be what it is. I would have thought, fine, we'll put you on the bench. We'll play you, you know, 15 minutes a game, whatever. We're going to not play you at all ever again. You know, that's where they're at now, and it's really troubling because, again, you know, Kemba isn't that guy as far as everyone I've ever talked to about him goes. He is a great teammate, a great citizen, like someone who's not going to ruffle feathers. So, but how are you going to trade him if he's not out there proving himself right now?
Well, I think somebody smart would take Kemba Walker, especially if you want to bring him off the bench. You know, he could be a great spark off the bench. And even more than that, in my opinion. I think he didn't get enough a chance this season. So, yeah, I think he could help some teams out there.
I agree. Anything else? Any other trade rumors you've been listening to?
So, let's see. Who else? I think that's about it. I mean, the Pacers are going to make trades. The Sixers are probably going to make trades. We've been through that. Yeah, I think that's most of the teams.
And then, like, you know, the Kyrie thing.
There was a thing about, you know, maximizing Scotty Barnes' development by trading Pascal, but I think they're still playing well together, and I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, they gave the Nets everything they could handle last night with a couple of good games from both those guys. So, I would probably prefer to see how they can, you know, measure up. But again, you know, come February, if it's still a struggle for the Raptors and they're not really going anywhere, maybe they do something there. But yeah, I would think that they're going to try and give it one more run here for the next month or two before the trade deadline ends.
You know, remember how we said how the Warriors gave the league like a new look? That's why they were so good. Like, they were just shooting more threes than everybody else. I think Toronto is the next team that could really, like, catch lightning in a bottle and give the rest of the league a new look. Like, just having all these versatile players that could guard multiple positions, and then you develop them. Your player development develops their shooting on top of that. Like, Toronto could be scary in the next few years. Yeah,
a lot of length and a lot of you can play kind of like what Cleveland is doing, right? Where they're playing 3 7-footers across the board. You know, Jared Allen is not a very skilled, you know, in that respect, and Evan Mobley is not either.
Can't guard anybody. So.
Hey, Markkanen deserves some credit. I saw him, you know, he D'd up Luka pretty well.
We were talking about defense.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he was like giving a lot of energy out there and doing much better than I've ever seen him do. So let's give him some props for that. And they're winning. The Cavaliers are doing it that way. So imagine if you had 3 7-footers who all, like, you know, had skilled, like, well, Scotty Barnes is not 7 feet. Was he 6'9"?
6'9", really long wingspan.
Yeah. So you're talking about, like, Scotty Barnes, Siakam, and I mean, OG's in there, but who else is starting for them these days?
OG, they got this guy Bantam, who's like a 6'10" point guard. He's Canadian.
Whoa.
He comes off the bench.
A 6'10" point guard? Yeah. I got to check this out. I haven't watched the Raptors in a little while. Wow. All right. Okay. So that, and then, you know, obviously they're always going to have Fred VanVleet, who's going to bring the average size down quite a bit.
Boucher probably doesn't have as much promise as those guys, but he's another guy with length.
Yeah, he stopped developing, it feels like, right? He was sort of on a trajectory, and he's not. He kind of took a step backwards for some weird reason, too.
Yeah, I don't think he's as young as those guys either, from what I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, that might be true, too.
Yeah.
So, well, listen, Combo, I think this was a great show. I know we had some technical difficulties in the beginning, but we persevered. We got through it. We got some good questions, got some good answers, and I think we've solved some things. What do you think?
I think it was great, Coach Nick. We just got to figure out the spaces thing, but it's always great talking basketball with you. Thanks so much for having me back on your platform, Coach Nick.
Always. Every week we'll do this. I enjoy the conversation that much. And if anybody out there is a tech person who could figure out how to help me use my soundboard and my mic and my phone and whatever to integrate spaces into the YouTube side, and then also get Combo to be able to hear the Twitter space, and then, by the way, people on the Twitter space be able to hear Combo. That's the missing piece we're missing. But if anyone knows how to figure that out, let me know. Coach Nick at BBALLBREAKDOWN.com. And don't forget, sports fans, at BBall Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Combo?
Coach Nick, I'm in, man.